All right, hi, welcome to TCG Scare. We're going to be doing something a little differently today. I'm going to be recording from my phone because I'm the lazy and I just need to upload a video more. So I'm going to be talking about my trading card game Legends that I'm going to be making. And right now I don't actually have any artwork done for it because I'm what you call lazy and don't like art, and I respect anyone who does the art. So what I did is I wrote it down on cards and stuff that you get from Amazon. These are going to be placeholders right now for showing how the board is set up instead of actual playing cards right now. So I'll explain some cards, how they work, and how this game operates to begin with. So the first thing you're going to do when you set up a game is you're going to go ahead and before you draw your cards, over here is a pile of 10 cards. These are going to be your life cards. And every time that you win combat, you are going to draw a life card. And once you run out of cards, you win. I know that's kind of opposite, but yeah. So these are actually going to be referred to as treasure cards in game, but you can think of them as like life cards or breakers or treasure, or Pokemon has what's it? Prize cards, same thing. But these are going to be referred to as treasure cards in game. So before you draw your cards, what you're going to do is you're going to put 10 cards here, and then you're going to draw 5 cards from your deck. Now, the deck is going to have to be 51 cards minimum, and one of those cards has to be a legend card. A legend cards are basically the face of your deck. And how that works is you always have it from the start, and you're always going to be playing with it through its abilities. Right now, all the legend cards have very similar stats, if not the same, but they all have a different ability. So there's going to be one that allows you to draw cards if you do a thing, or look at your opponent's hand, or whatnot. Now, how this game plays is a little unique in my opinion. You have 5 field slots, I guess you want to call it, for your cards, for effect cards. Now, unlike a lot of other games where you have multiple creatures on the field, you only have one, which is your face card. This is what's going to be determined in combat, and I'm going to flip this over just to kind of show you what I have right now, and I'll explain mechanics later. But each one's going to have a combat power, which is going to be determined by a number. Right now, this is just 1 because all of the creature cards are 1, because why should they just be abstractly more than 1 right now in testing? So 1 or 2 is the highest goes, but that's okay. So this is what's going to determine your damage, is going to be that. And the dealio is whoever wins combat by whoever's combat number is higher will win. There are cards to make you increase your combat score or decrease your opponent's. And that is functionally the same thing from different perspectives, but the minusing ability is more or less for multiplayer uses rather than single combat uses. Because you always want to buff up yours. And that's a different video for a different day, I guess, is debating whether or not subtracting from opponents is the same thing as adding bigger stats to yourself, but that's just me. Maybe I've been playing trading card games too long, but that's a different video. But how cards are going to be played is you have 5 slots to play a card. Say you have a card, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose a better card than that because that's a really bad example of a card. So I'm going to go ahead and play a card. Now, what you can do is you can either play a card face down on the field on your turn, or play it immediately face up. But you cannot play a card immediately face up from your hand on your opponent's turn. But if your card is face down during your opponent's turn, you can activate it whenever. So, what's stopping from cards being spammed onto the field is a time counter. Once a card has been used, you're going to turn it sideways, and you're going to place a marker on there, either a die or pebble or however you want to do it. Like there's those clear crystal stones that people use, and you can use that as a counter, but I feel like a dice would just be better if you just have a handful of dice. You can buy those small containers that have like 30 something dice in it, and they're like really, really tiny dice, but that's beside the point. Now, as you can see, there's a number next to the letter T. So that is time counter. At the end of your turn, all your cards are going to be removed 1 time counter. So, say I play this card during my turn, and at the very end of it, it'll go down to 1 time counter left. So it'll stay on the field, and then at the end of my next turn, it'll go away. So that's 2. If it was 1, the card would go away at the end of my turn. So this will stay on the field for the end of this turn to activate it. Or if I activate it during my opponent's turn, it wouldn't go away until 2 turns from now. So not my opponent's turn, but my next 2 turns would go away. So you have to really manage your 5 field spaces. And that's what I'm banking on, is just management of the spaces themselves. What I have seen so far is I've been working on ways to remove said cards from the field. So you can play more aggressively, but you need to be consistently removing some cards if you do that, which is going to limit your hands. But this card right here, as you can see, there's going to be a +2, and this is just basically referring to combat whenever there's a +2. So that would make this card, my dude, +3 is basically what happened. And like I said, whoever just wins combat at the end of the turn will end up drawing a treasure card. So, unlike Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic the Gathering, this only has 1 main phase. And after that 1 main phase, it starts your end phase. No ands or but. So at every end phase of your turn, your time counters will be removed by 1. So it goes, the normal turn procedures go upkeep, which any abilities that trigger at the very beginning of the turn, such as die rolling for effects, will happen. Then draw phase. Main phase is going to be main phase 1, combat phase. So combat phase is going to be what happens, and you don't have to have combat phase. You can skip it if you want, if you're not feeling that you're doing too well, or your combat or your card just does better during a defensive combat phase, which I'm working on some cards that are like that, but I don't know how to balance that currently, so I'm working on that. But so there's going to be cards that just may do a little bit better during defensive combat, but that's beside the point. If you end up winning combat 10 times, you just win. That's just the win condition, and this game I'm finding is relatively simple, and that's kind of the point. But there's a reason why I haven't got art for these, and I'm incredibly lazy with drawing. And if I actually tried, put in every waking moment of drawing instead of playing League of Legends or Bakugan. I wish I could play Bakugan, but COVID, it is a lot of my friends just don't want to go and do things, but that's a society issue right now. But I've been procrastinating, and I really don't need to be. So this is my card game Legends, and that's how you play. If you have any comments, questions, or what have you, please ask, and I'll be happy to answer it. I do have cards. I do have like cards and card effects made, and that's something I do have, and I can put a list if anyone wants it out of curiosity. But I've been working on this for a while, and I finally got the rules set to what I want it to be. I just need to make the art. I got the back made, but I just need to get the fronts made, and I have the frame made, but I'm just incredibly lazy, and you know how that just be. So y'all have a good night, and please like and subscribe.